This is the journal that I bought myself that I'm going to just make uniquely something for myself. And I'm not sure how well this is going to go, but I thought I would just try it. This is Jetso. Jetso is a great tool. Firstly, you use it on canvas, for those of you that don't know, but you can also use it for covering any item really, to prepare the surface for painting. Some days I find if I try to get this perfect setup for doing my art, it just won't happen. So what I do instead is I just start from where I am. So I've got the Jetso, I've got the book, and I'm just going to start. I've also got a cloth on my lap in case I get any Jetso on my table, so I can take it off. But I've found that if I just lift stuff up, and this is a way, like for me, one of the things I find when I'm doing stuff is that I have to just make a start, because some days you just feel so shitty. And until I actually get, some paint on a canvas or something made, nothing kind of feels better. And so that normal thing of, have a nice clear workspace or make things neat and tidy. Sometimes the neat and tidy happens after I've done a bit of creativity, because until then my brain fog won't come out. So the main thing for me that I wanted to focus on with this channel is the process of being an artist. Like, we're all different, and we don't always have these neat little projects that work really easily and there's no problems and it's all easy and whatever, and it's all, we just follow point by numbers kind of thing. It's it's a hard process to be a creative person sometimes. And creative people, it doesn't mean that you have to be doing it as a full-time job. You can be a completely amazing artist and not make much money on it. Like, there were many people across time that are now known as incredible artists that didn't make lots of money in their lifetime. It's not a measure of how amazing your art is. What's a measure of how amazing your art is how it makes you feel. Because it doesn't really matter what other people think about your art. What matters is how it makes you feel, the quality of your life. What does it do for you? How does it change how you're feeling on the inside? Does it make you feel differently? Does it uplift you? All that sort of stuff. That's really what matters. That's, this is the process of self-expression. So I think we're nearly done now. I'm just going to do this last little bit. And then once I've done that, I'm just going to check. Of course, I'm getting Jetso all over my hands, but that's cool. Hands are easily washed. And then once this is done, I will... Now what I do try to do though is have the direction of the Jetso going in the same way, because I just prefer it that way. So now that I finish this one, I'll just drag my brush all the way across, right down, so all of the direction of the paint is the same. There we go, beautiful. And this one's going this way. So I'll just drag it right across, just make sure the direction's all the same. There we go. Now we'll go to dry, and you can see there's a little bit of a mess, not a great deal of a mess, so I'll just quickly give that a wipe. And that's the magical thing about, not worrying about it. You can actually clean up as long as you're aware. Okay, so now we let this dry, and then we can paint it with some acrylics or put some collage on it. I'm going to go away and have a think about what I want to make it uniquely my own, and then come back and finish it off. After thinking about it, I thought I'd do some collage. I'm going to use this celestial map book that I found. I have just glued this down and forgot to press play on the camera, so you can't actually see what I've done. But if I pull it up a bit, you can see that I've actually got the pages from this celestial book and just cut up some pictures that I'm interested in putting on the Jetso. Now the Jetso is nice and dry on this book, so I put some glazing medium on it, and I'm just trying to see if that'll glue it down, because I saw in another YouTuber was talking about how they were using this to glue down their stuff for their collaging and on their paintings. So I thought, well, I'll try that too. Yeah. So I'm not going to peel the rest of it off, but you get the idea. I'm sorry that I forgot to press play, but at least we've got an idea of how to do this. You basically just cut it out. I just use scissors to cut it out with. And then you just place it wherever you feel like it's going to work for you. It's quite a lovely way to go. So the next final step to getting it ready is to get some impasto medium. Now I'm using this technique for the first time. I've heard someone else, and you can tell because I haven't even opened this tube yet, but I heard somebody else say that to get it to a nice surface so your paint works well, basically what you do is you put the medium around where the joint is, and that actually gives you a nice, it sort of fills in that little bit of a ridge where you've put your paper on the page. So I'm just going to do that now, and because this acts as a little bit of a kind of a little bit like a sculptural medium, I guess, just giving that little bit of depth. And yeah, there we go, trying to get rid of that edge a little bit to make it a bit more conducive for painting later on. This is my resident pet, my resident friend in my studio. And he will often just sit on my hand while I paint. This is his choice. I didn't bring him here for the video. He's actually just been on my hand. I have to make sure that he doesn't land on the paint, because he'll often do that and then he has paint on his foot, and I don't think it's good for him. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to come along and I'm just going to paint bits and pieces, and just random. I haven't planned this. I haven't sort of thought about what I'm doing. I've just kind of decided that I will just do a little bit of abstract kind of painting and just let it happen as it comes along. Just let it sort of, let things just kind of come along as they go. I think what happens is it just sort of starts to evolve as you do it. I was aiming for a grey and I ended up with this, but I quite like this purple. So what I like to do is just put in some blocks of colour when I'm painting, and then just let things evolve from there. Just there's a magical component when you are watching someone in the studio through film. You get to see the process unfold a lot faster than normal, which is something that I love watching myself, and I watch a lot of these videos. I wanted to share this process that I'm undertaking with trying to create an individuality for things that I use every day. So that's why I wanted to create a journal specifically for myself. I didn't want to create a project that I wanted people to follow with me and actually create what I'm creating. I wanted to inspire you to have a go. I wanted to inspire you to understand that things are a process. You do it over a few days. You do it and you give yourself time to let it unfold. And so I really wanted to be able to share a little bit of my process, particularly this bit where it's actually quite nerve-wracking, the first little bit of colour that you put on something, because when you first start out having a design, unless you're somebody that likes to meticulously design before you even start, which I think sometimes stops the creative, like real creative flow. Some people are more like that, and we're more designers, but those of us that have just got real creative brains that just go, yeah, I'm gonna do it. We want to put it out on the page quickly, and when you get a blank canvas, it can be really intimidating. So the whole idea of putting this paint on was to give me a surface, firstly, to sort of blot out what was there before and colour up the gesso, but to give me something to sort of create on top of. So the first step for me, because I like to make layers in my art, and I also like to take my time, not necessarily taking hours and hours and hours, but I like to maybe do the process of over a couple of days to give myself time to think about it, look at what I'm doing, and to not have a lot of pressure, because sometimes when you feel like you have to finish something quickly, it can be really difficult. And so what I wanted to do is just to give myself a breathing time. So I gave myself this surface. And so when I came back to it, and this is when I started filming a few days later, it was dry and ready. And I'd also been writing in it and using it like this. So I had some sort of idea of what it felt like. I still didn't know when I started what I wanted to do, but I did know I wanted to paint in some faces. And then I decided, because I was going to be a Puritan and only use acrylic paints, but then I thought, I started learning how to paint actually by using these Posca test pens. I don't have any affiliation at the moment with these pens, but they're pens that I've been using. They're paint pens that I've been using for some time. And I found it was a wonderful journey to learn how to paint with them, because they are actually paint, and you can put the paint on the on whatever you're using and then use a brush to smear them or whatever. And so I decided to use these pens and a brush and acrylics and these other little magical little paint things that I was given. And I was quite happy with the result. I'm going to be quite happy writing in this for the next few months. And thanks for joining me in my studio and joining me on this journey to learning to be a painter. I'll see you next time.